Hello, this is cjhoyle. Today is Saturday, May the 29th, 2021, and I'm coming to you from the foot of Woodbine Avenue out in the east end of Toronto. And in this video, I'm going to be giving a narrated tour of the Lake Shore East portion of the ActiveTO road closures here in the city of Toronto, which just begins right here. So starting from the point where Woodbine Avenue terminates and curves and becomes Lake Shore Blvd East, this road is closed to vehicles in the eastbound direction, which is the lane that I'm riding in right now. And it's closed all the way from here to Leslie Street, which is about a 2-kilometer stretch. So in this video, I'm going to be taking you along that route. Over towards my left is Woodbine Beach, which is a nice big sandy beach. And straight ahead you can see the skyline of the city of Toronto, including the CN Tower. I'm filming this at around 12:30 p.m. just half an hour after noon time. And over there on the left is one of the parking lots for that Woodbine Park that I was describing. And unfortunately, this stretch of roadway that's closed to vehicles does have two crossing points where you're not, like, it's not a continuous roadway, like you have to stop at the traffic light like right here to yield to the traffic. And I mention that because the Lake Shore Blvd West portion of ActiveTO that I showed a couple weeks ago, it's actually continuous for its entire 6-kilometer stretch. So that one is certainly preferable to this one if you had to choose, but unfortunately the other one's not open every weekend. And this one is, I think, the only ActiveTO that's open this weekend. Alright, so we cross this street here, which is Northern Dancer Boulevard, and we continue our way. Northern Dancer is the name of a horse, a racehorse, that used to race at the Woodbine Raceway, which is located on the lands that are just to the north of here on my right side, which is now part of Woodbine Park. So you can see, a fair number of cyclists that are out enjoying this extra space that they get on this roadway, like I am today. And up ahead is our second of two road crossings. This one is called Lower Coxwell if you were to turn to the right, and Ashbridges Bay Park if you were to turn to the left. And again, it's another roadway into the parking lots for the park that's over there. So we'll wait for our turn to cross here. And after we get across this crossing, there's no more roadway crossings until we get to the end, which is Leslie Street. And my plan is, because this is a rather short section of road to show in the video, I'm actually going to keep riding after that on the trail that goes along beside Lake Shore Boulevard. Over on the left you can see some water. That is the actual Ashbridges Bay that this park and the road are named after. And the big stack that you can see over on the left is for the Ashbridges Bay wastewater treatment plant, which is where one of a couple of water treatment plants in the city of Toronto, where they treat all the sewage before sending it back out into the lake. Right now I've got the wind behind me, so that's always nice. But when I was riding in the other direction to come to the start of this video, I was certainly fighting it, so I worked for this reward. It certainly feels more cold and breezy down here near the water, which is typically the case. The waterfront is usually typically a couple of degrees colder than the rest of Toronto, it seems. There you can see more of the skyline of Toronto straight ahead. And now over on our left, the blue fencing that we were following along, which is for the Ashbridges treatment plant, has now turned into red, white, and gray fencing. And those are colors of the Toronto Transit Commission, the TTC, and that's because on the other side of that fence or wall is a streetcar yard where they maintain the surface transit streetcar vehicles for our city. And that next traffic light up ahead is Leslie Street. And I should mention this roadway that's closed right now, over on the left, there's always a trail that follows along beside the waterfront. And I've made a video riding along that before, but the ActiveTO closure just gives people more space to be able to do this. And it really, I think it does a good job of encouraging more people to come out and get their exercise. All right, so from here, like I said, I'm going to continue and I'm going to cross to the other side of the street where there is a multi-use trail that follows along beside Lake Shore Blvd East. And I'll work my way towards the Don River, and I think I'll end things at Corktown Commons Park. I'll just get across here and I'll join the back of this line up here. We've got some interesting scenery along this stretch of roadway we'll get to see pretty soon. I did make a video riding along Lake Shore Blvd East last year, just during a regular weekend. It was kind of early in the pandemic, so there wasn't a lot of traffic on the roadway, so I thought it was a good opportunity to ride on a road that I normally wouldn't ride on. So I'll provide a link to that in the description below if you want to go back and see what that looked like. But I've never actually ridden my bike in a video on this trail that we're about to ride on up ahead. And it's sort of part of the waterfront trail. I guess it's sort of the network, but the waterfront trail also kind of, if you turn to the left at this intersection, it goes down Leslie Street and you can kind of go along through the Portlands, which is sort of more scenic than what I'm about to show you here. So in my video about the waterfront trail that I've filmed in the past, that's the route that I took then as opposed to this one. But this route is much more direct. So if you're actually using the waterfront trail as a means of getting from the East End to downtown, this is the preferable way of doing it because it's much more direct. So straight ahead you can see some concrete columns that are extending from the ground, and when I first saw them I thought they were some kind of an art, exhibit, something that was built to sort of show something, and in a way I guess it's been left there for that reason. But these are actually columns that were once used for carrying the Gardiner Expressway elevated highway, which is a road that still exists in downtown Toronto. But back in the day, it actually used to extend all the way out to here. So where I'm riding right now used to have a road deck over top of where I'm riding, which is kind of interesting to think about. And they demolished it back in 2001, I believe. And I think it just wasn't very well utilized and it really wasn't worth the expense of the upkeep of it. I don't know the full history of it, but that's what I gather. The City of Toronto had a similar decision to make about the Gardiner Expressway East, the eastern portion of it, downtown, so further, I guess, west of where I'm right now. A couple of years ago, they were faced with a decision, you know, whether they wanted to continue to maintain it or to demolish it. And it was sort of a political issue that divided a lot of people. But in the end, the city decided to just rebuild the Gardiner, which is a very expensive proposition. So through this area here, we're passing by a lot of movie studios, a lot of places where there's a lot of like location work that's done on movies. Like, you know, you'll watch a movie that's set in New York City, but it's actually filmed, you know, the exterior shots are all filmed in Toronto. So to accompany that, they have a lot of sound stages in the city of Toronto, so when they're filming interior scenes in those same movies, they can just go down the street and film it inside here. So along this route here, you'll see, you know, a number of different film studios. Let me just point out this big concrete stack there. That used to be used as an incinerator for Toronto garbage. They used to burn some of, or maybe even all of, probably not all of, but a portion of Toronto waste, solid waste. They used to burn it up that stack. They haven't done that in quite a long time, I think, but the stack is still there from that. And that property is still used by the solid waste division of the city. If you ever need to, you know, get rid of hazardous materials or something, that's a place that you'll have to take stuff. I remember I've taken fluorescent tubes there to dispose of in the past. And now here on the left you can see the on-ramps to the portion of the Gardiner that they didn't demolish. So, like I said previously, these ramps would have extended all the way above it would have stayed up at that higher level all the way out to Leslie Street, where we got onto this trail. So like I said, this is the only ActiveTO project that's open this weekend, and it's kind of, every weekend's a little bit different, and it's kind of hard to know about what might be coming and what's happening each weekend, because the city hasn't been, at least from what I've seen, it doesn't look like the city's been updating their ActiveTO website. But with that in mind, I wanted to mention an ActiveTO event that's happening next weekend on a road that's never been closed before for ActiveTO, and that road is the Allen Expressway up in Midtown, and it's only happening on Saturday from I think 7 a.m. until 9 p.m. but the northbound lane of the Allen Expressway is going to be closed to vehicles and open to people riding bikes and walking and running and rollerblading and all that kind of stuff. So if you're in the city on Saturday, June the 5th, 2021, I would encourage you to go and check that event out. As far as I know, it's just a one-off. They're just sort of doing it the one time. It's actually to commemorate the 50-year anniversary of stopping the Spadina Expressway, which essentially would have been to have that Allen Expressway extend all the way through Cedarvale Park and into the downtown core, which they decided in the end not to do. So we're just waiting here at this notoriously long traffic light to get across the Don roadway. So while I'm here, I'll point out the new bridge over there, red and white bridge, which is for, it's going to be for Commissioners, which is an existing roadway that's there, but in the coming years, the city is going to be altering the exit flow of the Don River, creating more of a natural sort of a flowing pathway of it. And it's going to actually be creating a new island called Villiers Island out on the Portlands. And to do that, to have a new island, they have to have a bunch of bridges. So they've been floating in these bridges from somewhere in Europe. They make the parts of the bridges, then they weld them together in Halifax, and then they're brought down through the St. Lawrence Seaway on a barge to the Portlands to here. So there's also one that's very similar on Cherry Street, and there'll be a total of 6 of these bridges, I believe, that are being floated in. That one, that back there, the Commissioner one, that's going to be the longest of the 6 bridges. And it's only actually half here. The portion that we just saw, that's actually only half of the bridge. The other half will still be coming in the future. So that water body that we crossed back there, that is the Don River. That's that water body that they're going to be altering the flow of to make it flow a little bit more naturally. It has a tendency right now of getting, when there's a storm, of getting clogged up with sticks and stuff at the bottom, which causes it to flood, because it's right now it needs to make a very sharp turn to be able to get out into Lake Ontario. But anyways, I'm just going to be riding underneath of this railway underpass, which will take me into Corktown Commons Park. And I'm just going to make a right turn here, and we'll ride around Corktown Commons, and then I'll come up along Bayview Avenue, and I'll end this video at the intersection of Bayview and Front Street, which is actually where I've ended another video before this one, which was when I was riding down Bayview Avenue when it was closed for its ActiveTO project. And I figured to sort of put this in context with that, made sense to try and end these 2 videos in the same location. So I'll just wrap around here. And this is riding through the Canary District of Toronto, which was created within the last 10 years, at least. And Corktown Commons Park is also very new. And when I filmed this roadway when it was closed during ActiveTO, that was before they added this bi-directional bike lane of it on this portion. So now you get to see how things have changed in a couple of weeks. But here we've arrived at Bayview Avenue and Front Street. Hope you enjoyed joining me on this narrated tour. If you watched all the way to the end of it, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comment section below. And thanks for watching.